Hey, Texas Study students. This is Coachsaenz, welcoming you back to another one of our video lessons. Today's video lesson is on Chapter 8.2 and Texas Empresarios. Now, in today's lesson, we're going to begin talking about Moses Austin. Now, after losing his fortune in Missouri, and if we can remember here, this is the Missouri Territory. You can see it here. All lands west of the Mississippi River, which is including all this right here, the Missouri Territory, what's called there, and all this down here, was New Spain. Okay? Now, Moses Austin decided his best way to make money was to pay off his debt, was to sell land and to help Anglo-Americans settle here in Texas, right? He was in a lot of debt, and the only way that he was going to be able to do that was to get people to come to New Spain, aka Texas. And here we have a picture of Moses Austin himself. Now, in the year 1820, Moses Austin traveled down to San Antonio to present his plan to bring 300 U.S. families to start a colony here in Texas. Now, because of problems with filibusters like Jean Lafitte we see here, and the Gutierrez-McGee expedition, James Long, and Philip Nolan, the Spanish government suspected that Moses Austin was another filibuster and just wanted to take over the government and get independence for Texas. So initially the Spanish government rejected his plan. Now, with the help of a man named Baron de Bastrop, right? Now, Baron de Bastrop was a man that was very well known in the Mexican government and had a very good influence with them and got to spend a lot of time with them and had a good relationship with them. Now, with this relationship that Moses Austin and Baron de Bastrop had, the Spanish approved Austin's plan to bring the 300 families to Texas. Now, unfortunately, Moses Austin became very deathly ill, as we can see him here in his sickbed. However, he asked his son Stephen F. Austin to fulfill his dream of colonizing Texas. We can see Stephen F. Austin right here. And Stephen F. Austin agreed to do this, to bring the 300 families to Texas. Now, in the year 1821, right, 27-year-old Stephen F. Austin aimed to fulfill his father's dream by meeting with the Spanish government in San Antonio. Now, if you remember, this is not Stephen F. Austin's dream. This is his father, Moses Austin's dream, to do this, to colonize Texas, right? And he was very reluctant at first until he received a letter from his mother 2 days before his father's death. Now, Stephen F. Austin, before doing this, before colonizing Texas, he was pursuing a career in law, being a law student, to be a lawyer. Now, the Spanish government approved of Stephen F. Austin's colonization of Texas, right? And with this approval, the governor appointed a man named Erasmo Seguin to assist Stephen F. Austin in the attempt to colonize Texas. Now, by assigning Erasmo Seguin to help Stephen F. Austin, this showed that the Spanish government gave trust to Stephen F. Austin and to his colony, his new colony, that they would not partake in any legal activities like the filibusters before him. Now, just like in the previous video lesson, there were requirements to settle in Texas, right? Now, the first one was that they must convert to Catholicism. That's one of the requirements that we covered before. The second one was that they must become a Spanish citizen, and then later Mexican citizens when Mexico wins their independence in 1821. And the third one was that they must be of good and moral character. That means that they can't be any thieves, robbers, murderers, or anything like that. Or they couldn't have a previous record in the United States. They had to be of good and moral character to be able to come and be part of the 300 coming to colonize Texas. Now, Austin's Empresario land grant allowed him to bring 300 Anglo-American families to Texas. Now, not 300 people, not just 300 people, 300 families. You have to take into account how big these families were. Now, take account of how many people are in your family or in your friends' families. And that's how big each family would be, right? It would be 300 total families. Now, they eventually became to be known as the Old 300, right? And here we see a picture of how people would be moving out to Texas from the East Coast to the West into the interior of the United States. And this is how it would look on the trail. Then, in 1822, when Austin visited San Antonio, he learned that Mexico had won its independence from Spain. Now, since his grant had been issued by Spain, he now had to gain permission for his colony from Mexico, right? Now, because of that, it was a new government, a new system. He had to go and get permission from Mexico now, not anymore from Spain. So, Austin had to travel down to Mexico City. From here, had to go down south and travel to Mexico City, where he was forced to wait one whole year before receiving approval by the Mexican government, right? Now, he left the Old 300 there in East Texas. He couldn't, he had already brought them. He left it there for them to settle on their own, right? Now, while there, Stephen F. Austin learned to speak Spanish and live within the people of Mexico City, right? He learned Spanish, learned the culture, learned the ways. And with doing that, he was able to win the trust of Mexican leaders, and for him to be able to show that, hey, he can be trusted, he's not a filibuster, and he's a man of integrity. So, with that, he gets approved for his colony, and his colony in Texas was named San Felipe de Austin. Now, he didn't choose the name. The Mexican governor chose the name for him, right? And we can see here in East Texas, right? Now, later, the Anglo-Americans view him as the father of Texas because he is the first Anglo-American. He's the first person to legally settle in Mexican Texas, right? And he's not a filibuster. So that's why the Anglo-Americans and many people viewed him as the father of Texas. Now, empresario land grants, right? And land grants such as the one granted to Stephen F. Austin allow the government of Mexico to quickly populate Texas. Now, in order for them to quickly populate Texas, that's why they were giving land grants, right? Now, many people from Mexico, right, from down here, did not want to, from New Spain or from Mexico, did not want to move to the eastern part of Mexico, which is here, Texas, right? They simply didn't want to go over there. It felt like it wasn't a necessity for them to go there. They wanted to stay in a populated area like Mexico City and the surrounding cities, right? So that's why they would give these land grants, so that people from the east and Anglo-Americans would not come in and take Texas from Mexico. Now, therefore, the Mexican Constitution of 1824 was written after Mexico had won its independence, right? And that is a total of 3 whole years after it had won its independence. Now, after the signing of the 1824 Constitution, the Republic took the name of the United Mexican States and officially made Catholicism its official religion. Now, although this was the official religion, many Anglos moving in from the east to the west did not abide by the Catholicism, right? So eventually, in the future, this would pose a huge problem. Now, due to its small population, right? Texas didn't have a very big population. Texas was not organized as its own separate state under the Mexican Constitution of 1824. Now, what the Mexican government did instead was that they merged it with Coahuila. Okay? They merged it right there with Coahuila to form the Mexican state of Texas y Coahuila, right? Here we see the flag, right? Just the red, the white, and the green, but the 2 stars, each representing Texas and Coahuila. Now, there was a law set up by the Mexican government. It was the state colonization law of 1825. Now, this law set up guidelines to the colonization of Texas and Coahuila, and allowed people like Stephen F. Austin and other empresarios to receive more land grants in Texas, right? Now, and here in this picture, we see what was considered Texas and the state of Coahuila and how they are merged together as one in Mexico and its state map. Now, other empresarios had gotten land grants by the year 1830, a total of 30 of them to be exact, right? They had received land grants in Texas, right? And here they are. Here are a couple of them: Cameron, Milam, Wevel, Woodbury, McMullen, McGloin. There is Vehel. We see both Austins, right? And then we see another Milam right there. Now, by the year 1830, the population had grown to 20,000 people. That is a huge jump from the 1700s when Texas had started originally with 3,500 people. This concludes our video lesson today on Chapter 8.2 and Texas Empresarios. This is Coach Saenz signing out.